Welcome back, everybody. It's Zach here, bringing you guys another fantasy football video. In this one, I'll be going over the worst auction values on the Yahoo platform. This will be the final video in a series I've been doing. I've gone over the best and worst values on both ESPN and Sleeper, and I've also already gone over the best values on Yahoo. What I'm doing here is I've taken a look at the consensus ADPs across all of the major platforms, so ESPN, Sleeper, Yahoo, NFL, all that good stuff. Along with taking a look at the consensus pre-draft values in an auction draft for each of these players. And then what I've done is I've done a regression model to see how much you should expect to pay for a player in an auction draft based off of their ADP. And then from there, what I'm doing is I'm comparing the expected cost to the pre-draft value for all these players, and that way we can identify which platforms are giving us advantages or disadvantages when we draft certain players. The platform you draft on ends up having a really massive impact on how much people want to spend for players and when people want to draft players in a snake draft, and just being aware of what those discrepancies are is going to give you a huge leg up in your drafts. So I highly recommend you guys use this information. If you guys want access to the full spreadsheet, just shoot me an email. I'll send it to you guys for free. Just looking to help you guys out, and hopefully you guys can put it to use and dominate your leagues with it. So yeah, that being said, let's just get into it. Before I get into the video, I just want to mention this. I'm going to do this for a few videos coming up here. Earlier this week, my fiance and I, we found an at-risk puppy. He was hit by a car, and he was going to be put down if he wasn't adopted the day we heard about it. So we figured we'd save his life. We went and adopted him. He's an 8-month-old puppy. We named him Skipper. He was hit by a car. He's going to need surgery. He's likely going to lose his back left leg, hence the name Skipper. We've started a GoFundMe just to help cover any of his medical costs and all that. So if you guys do want to support me in any way this season, this would be the best way to do it. I'll be dropping the GoFundMe link in the description below. Again, totally optional. Just, I'm a huge softie for dogs. I couldn't bear to see him get put down. He's the third dog in my family now, so welcoming him to the family, doing what we can to save him, and we're going to give him a good, happy life. But if you want to help support us with any of that, just to help me out with the GoFundMe. Again, totally optional, but if you want to support me at all this season, that's going to be the best way to do it. Thanks, guys, and yeah, let's get back into the video. So getting back into football stuff here, Nico Collins stands out as the worst value on the Yahoo Fantasy Football platform. I love him in general. I think he's actually a really talented player, obviously. He comes into a situation where he should have a massive target share in an offense that's probably going to have to be more pass-heavy than we initially expected with all the injury stuff surrounding Joe Mixon. That being said, he does come in as the most overpriced player on the platform. He's got an expected cost based off of his based off of his ADP of roughly $46. You're gonna have to spend $53 to draft him on Yahoo. So just about a 15% overpay there. Not the end of the world. Again, he's one of the few wide receivers that I think you could see a path towards finishing as the wide receiver one. So by no means is he a guy that I'm fading even on Yahoo, but just understand that if you are grabbing him on Yahoo, you're likely overpaying a little bit, and it just might be wise to at least look at some of the players being drafted around him that aren't an overpay. So keep that in mind. Again, Nico's great. I think Stroud's going to have a bounce back year. This Texans offense should need to run through the passing game, and that means it's running through Nico entirely. So I still like him, but again, just understand that you're overpaying a little bit to take him there. Next up, we've got Chase Brown. He's the most overpriced running back on the platform, which is pretty sad because I'm a huge fan of Chase Brown this season. He's certainly a guy that I've been targeting in a lot of my drafts. And if you're drafting on Yahoo, you've got to understand that you're not going to get him at the same price tag that you would on some other platforms. That being said, the overpay relative to his consensus ADP still feels reasonable to me. Based off of his ADP, you should be spending roughly $30 to get Chase Brown on your roster. He's going to cost you just over $35 on Yahoo, and honestly, I think that's fine. That puts him in like a late second, early third round price tag still, and I've got no problem paying that price point. I think Chase Brown's a guy that could easily be a top 5 running back if things break right, just with the usage and how elite that offense is. So I don't have any problem paying that, but obviously you get a better value if you take him on a different platform. So just understand that. That means that don't fade Chase Brown. I still like him quite a bit, and he's still a guy that I'd be targeting, but you are going to pay a premium to get him on the Yahoo platform here. Next up, we've got another player that I've been pretty excited to draft this season, George Kittle. It kind of sucks. It seems like a lot of the good value players for me relative to consensus ADP. They seem to be overpriced on Yahoo, which is a little upsetting, but the primary benefit of drafting George Kittle generally is that you're getting a tier 1 tight end for a tier 2 price tag, or at least a pretty big discrepancy. His current cost is not too much higher than his consensus ADP would suggest. You should be spending roughly $20 on George Kittle, as to where you're going to have to drop about 23.5, so 23 or 24 on Yahoo. Not the end of the world, but it just seems like drafters on Yahoo are pretty sharp to the tight end position right now. On top of that, you also see that McBride and Bowers are actually underpriced in the Yahoo platform, so it makes the case for drafting George Kittle much less convincing because you could get McBride or Bowers for like the mid $35 price tags. To on some platforms, you'll see them going for 40 to 45. So I still think McBride and Bowers are good picks, especially on Yahoo. And then if you want to take Kittle, I don't hate the price tag there, but just understand that you're probably getting a better deal if you take them on a different platform there. Next up, we've got RJ Harvey. A lot of people will tell you that RJ Harvey is probably overpriced to begin with, and then you pair that with the fact that he's overpriced on Yahoo by just a couple of dollars. It's not insane, but you got a pre-draft value of $10.50 on Yahoo, and based off of his consensus ADP, you should be expecting to spend roughly $8. So on Yahoo specifically, you're spending just a little bit more on Harvey than you should expect to, and I think the thing that's going to happen with RJ Harvey, and I just wanted to throw this in here for a lot of these rookies, aside from maybe Genty and Omarion Hampton and stuff, but expect these guys to start a little bit slow. Typically, it'll happen all the time. You'll have these talented rookies. They haven't quite earned the trust of the coaching staff yet. So week one, you see them come in and have a much smaller role than people drafted them to have. People are going to freak out after week one when J.K. Dobbins comes out and has more touches than RJ Harvey. That's just going to happen. There's no need to panic about that. So a strategy I like to employ with these rookies that I like, but are in situations like that, is just don't draft them, but plant the seed with the manager that does draft him that you still like the player. And then as you get into the season, a few weeks in when his role hasn't been necessarily what the guy wants it to be, just say you're still willing to take him on, because the role for RJ Harvey and a lot of these rookies, it's going to grow over the course of the season. He doesn't need to be a top 5 running back in week one for you to be excited about him. So I like RJ Harvey still. I think you're overpaying a little bit if you take him on Yahoo. So I think if you want to avoid him, I would just look to be trading for him after the first couple of weeks, because he's probably not going to be a world beater, at least early on in the year. And the last player we will touch on here is going to be Jonathan Taylor. He comes in as the second most overpriced running back on the platform, and he should cost you roughly $37 based off of his consensus ADP. On Yahoo, though, he's going to cost you somewhere between $42 and $43. Not a huge overpay, but it's certainly worth noting. Generally, it seemed like the consensus ADP expected price tag and then how much you actually had to pay on Yahoo. It was a lot closer. They're on ESPN, Devontae Adams was $15 overpriced. Nico Collins was like $7 overpriced, and he was the worst case on Yahoo. So Yahoo seems to be a lot more reasonable. Actually, there aren't any huge swings there. But with that being said, that makes a $5.50 difference on JT really stand out. I'm still kind of in on him, though, even at this price tag. I think Daniel Jones is certainly going to increase the pass-catching upside here for JT, far less likely just to scramble than a guy like Anthony Richardson would have been. We know Jonathan Taylor is an elite player. I still think this is a good coaching staff in Indianapolis. You've got Tyler Warren. This is going to be an offense that should improve relative to last year, and then JT's a guy that was actually fantastic for fantasy anyway. So I don't mind paying the current price there on JT, but just understand that, again, if you're drafting him on Yahoo, you're probably paying a little bit more than you would have if you drafted him somewhere else. So that'll do it for the worst values on the worst auction values on the Yahoo Fantasy Football platform. That closes out the series I mentioned earlier. We did the best and worst values on ESPN, Sleeper, and Yahoo. So if you guys want to watch any of those videos, I highly recommend you guys give those a look. Of course, if you also want access to the full spreadsheet I mentioned, just shoot me an email. I'll be dropping my email in the description of the video. You can send me an email. I'll get you guys that full spreadsheet. It's free. Just want to help you guys out. On top of that, if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I'm going to be doing some mock drafts here. I did a Rate Your Team series last year. If you guys are interested in that, let me know as well. I'll probably go through, what I did is you just give me your roster. I'll go through position by position, rate how well you did, and then give you guys a score overall in terms of how I thought your roster turned out. So, it's fun to do those after we get into these real drafts. So if you shoot those to me, it might be good content for me to put out in between next Sunday and the 4th before the first game kicks off. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. I'll try to do as many of them as I can. But, if you guys shoot me 100 teams, I'm probably not going to get around to all of them. So I'll do my best there. Up next, I'll be doing over a couple mock drafts as well, and then I'll be recapping some of my big money drafts. I've got my two biggest money drafts later on this week, so I don't even want to tell you guys what the buy-in is. It's probably not great, but I got those two big drafts this weekend, or later this week, and then I've got my home league draft and stuff later this weekend or next weekend. So I'll give you guys recaps of all that. It should be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel that way you don't miss any of the future content. Going to keep putting out 3 to 4 videos at least every single week, and hopefully we can win some championships together. So yeah, really appreciate you guys. If you made it this far, give the video a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys with the next one. Peace. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, check out these other videos here if you haven't. If you want more content, please feel free to follow me on Twitter @RealSteelFFB. I'll be more active on there as the season goes on. Thanks. Catch you later.